Hello, everybody. Welcome to your Chapter 4 set of notes. This is super short, so please watch the whole lecture. There's extra stuff at the end that I really wish we could be in class to talk about this. I think it's fascinating and very relevant to your life. So I will go quickly. Make sure you take notes on all the highlighted information. It's pretty logical, so it usually doesn't need a whole lot of explanation. Anyway, we are going to talk about populations. So no notes on here, but basic principles of population growth. You need to know the definition of a population, which is how many of one species are in the same area at the same time. So we need to know how to count a population. We can describe a high population as also being a dense population because of how we count it. It's the number of an organism in a certain area. So density is mass per unit volume. We're going to do number of organisms per unit volume. Healthy populations will grow and die, and they follow this curve that we're going to talk about. And that happens as long as everything is normal. Sometimes other factors come in there that will make a population bust. So we're going to talk about that. And the factors that create healthy and a busted population are either those biotic or abiotic factors. So again, we will talk about the ones that limit the growth and how they limit it and what those factors are that do that. So that's what you have to look forward to here. And then we'll talk about how some of these limiting factors occur because a population is dense. Sometimes those limiting factors occur regardless of population size. So they're going to happen no matter what. Okay, so really quickly, no notes here, but I do want you to be exposed to this. There are two types of population growth. You can grow logically or you can grow exponentially. So I do want you to pause and draw these in your notebook. A logistic growth that kind of makes sense is you have sort of a slow growing exponential phase, um, and then you'll plateau out. So this is a pretty healthy, nothing's going on here in this organism's life. This is how a population should grow. We call those species that tend to grow like this K species. I'm not really sure why. And then the other type of population growth is where you have these exponential growths and then they bust, and then they'll exponentially grow again and then they'll bust. And we call the species that do that R species. So that makes sense to me. They have a rapid life history. The logistic ones have a slow life history. So what does that mean? Slow life history patterns are organisms that are called K strategists. It's like a human. We have a long lifespan, we have bigger bodies, it takes a long time to reproduce, we don't have a lot of babies, and we take care of our babies. Because of this, we aren't going to reproduce as quickly, as opposed to an R strategist, more like our insects, really short lifespan, tiny bodies, reproduce quickly, have tons of babies, and they don't take care of their babies. So these flies lay a bunch of eggs, and mom and dad fly away and do their own thing. Babies grow up on their own. So that kind of makes sense to me that you would have this boom and then die off and boom and then die off again. So just be familiar with those words. No test material unless you want to move on in biology, you'll see it again. All right, here's what is super important. Every population, whether it is a K strategist or an R strategist, will eventually reach a carrying capacity. A carrying capacity, you need to know this definition, but it is the maximum number of an organism that can be supported in an environment for an indefinite length of time. So we will talk about human population at the end of this lecture, and that's where it gets more important and relevant to ourselves. Okay, pause here. You need to draw this graph. When you're drawing it, the data that would have been graphed here is actually this green line. So you'll notice, and this looks like a K strategist type curve, but every organism is going to fluctuate like this, okay? It's the beginning of the curve here that tells you, was it a K strategist or an R strategist type organism? But eventually everything can reach a carrying capacity. It's mostly referred to with those K species because you're going to have lots of big boom and bust, for example, in a fly population simply because of the seasons. So anyway, let's look at this graph. We had kind of a slow and then exponential increase in population, and then we have an overshoot. And that is because there were lots of resources available. Then, because the population got so high, They probably ran out of food, they ran out of water, they ran out of space, or because of crowding, a disease came in and killed off some of the population. After a certain number die, now there's more food available, more water, more space, so less spreading of disease. So now that population can grow again. And this kind of keeps happening over and over again until you can draw in here this carrying capacity. And you'll notice here I spelled it with a C. The last slide I spelled it with a K. It's either way. C's make more sense to me, but the abbreviation or the symbol used for carrying capacity is the letter K. So that's why I did that. Okay, anyway, this orange line here is not really part of the graph. It's an average line that's drawn through this little mini boom and bust series to show if we were to look at this environment, this is the number of species that could be supported indefinitely. So if this organism was smart, they would know, oh my gosh, we're getting too high. We need to watch our reproduction rate or else a bunch of us are going to die. And then this organism would say, hey, we're kind of low. We all get to have a bunch of babies because we want to reach this orange line. That doesn't happen in nature. Organisms don't constantly watch their population and decide to reproduce or not to reproduce. So it kind of nature takes care of it on its own. Nature will kill off a species, or nature will allow a species to have more viable organisms, and then we get this average line. So we'll talk about that more in class. So what creates this carrying capacity? There's my K. Declining birth rate or increasing death can be caused by lots of things. So carrying capacity, that fluctuating curve that you saw right here, what is making this go down or up? It is the food or competition for food. It is space and competition for space. So depending on the food supply and space, organisms might move in or move out, or they'll have more babies, or there'll be more death. Any of those things can cause a population to fluctuate. When that does get crowded, there will be increased disease, so that can cause a little bust of the population. And if you have a lot of an organism, you're going to have more food for a predator. So those feeding relationships can also make that curve kind of go up and down. Please notice here that all of the factors that actually cause a carrying capacity to happen are biotic factors, and they're all related to how many are in that organism, how rich that population is or how dense it is. Those are all words that we can use to describe it. Nothing to write down here, but I wanted you to take a look at a predator-prey graph. The prey is the blue line. They're the rabbits, and here are the wolves. So when rabbit population increases, the wolf population increases right behind that because they have more food. Then all of a sudden, all the rabbits get eaten and they die off, which makes the wolves die off. Both of these populations have a carrying capacity that's related to this predator-prey relationship. So I think it makes sense. You have more food, then these guys have more to eat, then all of a sudden these guys get crowded and they run out of food, so there's not as many bunny rabbits, which means there's not as much food for the wolves. Now all of a sudden the bunny rabbits have more food, they can start reproducing more, so now we get more wolves. All of a sudden bunny rabbits run out of food, they die off, so wolves die off. So you can track one population and make estimates of what the predator-prey relationship will be, because it pretty much always works like this. Okay, here it gets a little more interesting. How do we make this population bust? We know that a healthy bust will be because of the biotic factors, but there are other things that can make it bust, and I didn't mean to have these answers pop up, but those factors are weather or invasive species. So if you've got this healthy population up here, and all of a sudden a hurricane or a tornado or a terrible storm comes in or an earthquake, everybody's going to die. And it will have nothing to do with running out of food or water. It's just because they were in the bad place at the bad time. Invasive species, if they move in, invasive species will kill everything regardless of how dense that population is. So a population will do healthy fluctuations because of biotic factors. It will do these big, huge diebacks, which we call a bust, because of abiotic factors or invasive species. Okay, so Abiotic factors that can cause a population to bust are called density independent because it doesn't matter how dense a population is. Weather will come in and wipe out everybody, whether the population is high or low. For example, if a tornado hit this school in the middle of the school day, we're all goners. If a tornado hits this school at midnight, nobody dies. So that would be a density independent factor where whoever's in the wrong place at the wrong time will get knocked out. And again, these are always, not always, but mostly abiotic factors. We also have humans in here. Sorry, I have a bug in my room. We have humans in here that can also make a population bust. Invasive species do the same thing. So here we have a nice healthy population of squirrels and coyotes, and they are following that predator-prey relationship. And then an invasive species comes in. This black line is the invasive species. They took all the food from the food source here, which made both of these populations bust. So invasive species are not supposed to be there. Invasive species, you need to know this definition. They are not native, meaning they don't belong there, they weren't naturally there. Because they didn't naturally evolve in an environment, they have no predators. It's usually people that bring in these invasive species, so we'll talk about that. And ultimately, an invasive species destroys an ecosystem because it ruins not only the food source that it's competing with, but it ruins predator-prey relationships. So I do want you to draw this graph, label it as predator, prey, and invasive species taking over. All right, the rest of these slides, we're going to talk about human populations because it is affecting us right now, especially with the coronavirus. And populations, humans don't normally follow these biological population curves because of technology. Because we are so smart, we have altered the environment. Our culture helps us to survive. Being able to grow big crops help us to survive. Industry and being able to store food and refrigeration, all that helps us to survive. And then our medical knowledge helps us to survive. So humans don't follow the same curve that other organisms in the environment do. I'm going to click on this and open this up to show you a population clock that is current. So this shows world population and it's quickly growing. So it's kind of freaky how many babies are being born all the time. All right, let's go back to this. Human population is just showing you this is a better graph. Once once we got industry and healthcare, our population followed that exponential growth. We are still doing that. We're about right here. We are growing very quickly, and it has been estimated. I've seen lots of different curves that we will hit a human carrying capacity. The latest number I heard was about 16 billion. This graph says that our carrying capacity is about 10 billion, and it all depends on what's happening with technology really, and agriculture and healthcare. Here's another look at world population. So this is our growth rate. And as you can see, we are, because we understand carrying capacity, the humans are starting to slow down our reproduction rate. So we're getting this curve to level off at the top because we have learned to not have as many babies. Another thing that's interesting really quickly is as humans grow, and we increase in population, we are also causing the extinction of other species at an exponential rate. Another interesting thing, as human population increases, carbon emissions increase, which is some data that people that believe that humans are the cause of carbon-induced climate change, this graph would prove that. We'll talk about all this more in class. Make sure you understand carrying capacity, and you can label a graph. Make sure you understand what causes carrying capacity and how to find it on that graph.